Welcome to this week's edition of Brews and Crews. I am your host, Chris Jacobson, and today I have Tom Babler, but he's better known as just simply Babs. So, Tom, welcome to, I'm going to call you Babs, right?
Babs,
That's what
that's
everybody
fine.
calls you?
Yeah, Babs.
Babs, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And you reached out to me a few weeks ago, and we finally set up a date to get cracking on this, and you said you have a whole bunch of things you could talk about.
I could talk for 4.5 days if you had time and I had that much beer.
Well, the thing is, Babs, we can always do a part 2, part 3, whatever. I've had multiple people come on plenty of times and do that. But today you said you are bringing me a beer. So
Yes.
what'd you bring me?
Well, of course, the good stuff, of course.
The good stuff. What is considered the good stuff?
This stuff. The best.
The lattes.
Busch Light premium beer.
They are back again. I love it. Everyone loves Busch lattes.
And this is, obviously for marketing purposes. We got,
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
so.
Put it right there. Marketing purposes, Woodshed Pizza. We're going to talk about that too.
Perfect.
I'm going to crack this bad boy open because who doesn't like a Busch latte?
I mean, it goes good with everything, even breakfast if you really want it to. That happened to me this weekend in St. Louis. So, cheers.
Cheers. So what were you doing this last weekend? You said you were down in St. Louis. What was going on down there?
Well, myself, Paul and Nathan Butterfield and Matt Helgerson decided it was a really good idea to head to St. Louis for the Gateway Nationals, which is a stock car race, late models and modifieds, inside the Gateway Dome where the St. Louis Rams used to play.
Oh, that was called Gateway Dome?
Yes.
And they're still there?
Yeah.
Who plays there now? Is it the Blues?
I don't actually know where the St. Louis Blues play.
Okay.
But they do have a arena football league there. I think it is. I couldn't tell you. I was about 14 sheets to the Busch Lights by that time when I seen the screen, so wasn't remembering that. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, hands down, the greatest. I mean, nothing against Bob and Tyrone at MTS with the Dairyland shootouts. The greatest race that anyone could ever come and watch. They put on a great spectacle, and that show was awesome. But this Gateway it's ridiculous, man. I'm telling you, it's so cool.
So it's dirt track racing indoor?
Inside, 5th mile track.
So good then question for you. It gets pretty dusty at MTS here locally. Does it get pretty dusty in there too?
Well, stand up to go to the bathroom, and you got to go like this, and you're knocking dust off. Butterfield left on Sunday, and he still had dirt on the brim of his hat, and yeah, it was. Oh my God, one of the greatest.
So it's a dirty
weekends
mess
ever.
still there too.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, were you down there for any specific reason? Was it
just got invited by those guys, and
Sure.
Yeah, went with it. It was so cool.
Good times,
So
huh?
cool. Yeah, definitely.
Did you guys drive down or fly?
Yeah, we drove down.
Drove.
Yeah. I could have a whole show just on the stories of us. Yeah, it was. Well, one of them we got kicked out of Hooters, but I'm not going to get into that. Never been flipped off by the manager at a Hooters before. We got asked to leave. We got two free beers each out of it. And yeah.
So you had 2 free beers and they told you to leave?
Well, it was a long story.
Okay.
We'll just not get into that.
So if anybody's ever been kicked out of Hooters before, congrats.
Yeah. Amen. I'm with you.
I've never heard that. To be honest with you, I don't even know where the closest Hooters is anymore.
Minneapolis, probably. I think right across the street from Target Center. Maybe there's still one
Is
in
there
the
still one
mall.
there?
Might be
I
still one
don't
in
think
the
there's
mall.
one in the mall anymore. I can't remember.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been so long.
That's awesome. So, okay, now you brought something here that's, you said, well, a little sponsorship. It's called the Woodshed. Now, what is the Woodshed?
It's a creation that my wife and I came up with. It'll be going on our 10th year now.
Okay.
So I don't know if we can get into the story. From the start, always wanted to be a cook, always wanted to be a chef. My first job was working with Timmy and Johnny Goloszewski and Bill and Sue down at Lakeview.
No kidding.
Sue would always get so mad at me because I would, be in the way in the kitchen and
Sure.
stuff like that, trying to learn how to, run the grill and stuff like that. And transitioned to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken led to working at Blado's, which I actually just left there probably for the last time 2 years ago.
Okay.
I was on and off. Took about a 15-year break with him, but Hugh hired me back probably 3 years ago,
Okay.
just to help them out a little bit. And so if your kids need a job and you want them to have one hell of a great work ethic and learn how to count, you're going to get the counting and the work ethic from Lakeview Drive-In.
Yeah.
And I mean, I thank John and Tim every day of my life when I see them for, making sure that every penny went out that door exactly how it should.
Yeah.
And then just the work ethic I got from Ernie Gurnis and Darlene at Blado's.
Sure.
And working with Hugh. Hugh always instilled in my head, the harder you work, or the faster you work, the more money you make. Because at the time, we just got a certain amount of money all week.
Yep.
And it's a lot of it. Hey, dumbass, work faster because you make more money. And still to this day, that's how I operate.
So what years were you working at Lakeview?
I was 15 years old, 15 and 16, so 34 and 35 years ago.
Okay. Did they still have cruise nights back then?
No, they.
It wasn't a thing
Yeah,
yet?
that wasn't a thing yet.
Okay.
No, that just started about 15 years ago, maybe.
I don't know exactly. I know. No, actually, it was going on.
Actually, 07, when she bought my Cadillac, I think that was the first year they started.
Okay. Well, I remember it was like kind of a thing when I was in college is kind of when I remember it the most. I just would bring down my Challenger and I would, obviously hang out down there, and it was a good time. And it was a weekly thing. Now they're kind of doing it as a monthly thing. So it's still around. It's obviously Tim and John are kind of taking the backseat, it seems, and letting the younger generation take over a little bit. So that's great. But I know Tim still does the prize giveaways and all that. So still fun time. And then you worked at KFC too, huh?
Yeah.
She was my grandma?
Yep. I worked
Peggy?
with Peggy. I worked with Grandma Peggy I was there for 4 years. So, yeah, I love that job too. It was just one of those things where I should have stayed there just to get the manager's experience, But
Sure.
I left for a little more money and some benefits.
So now Blado's, what was your role at Blado's then? Because everyone in our town knows what Blado's is.
Right.
Yes.
So first it was just a delivery driver. That's all it was. Delivering donuts. I had the West route and then whatever else you could pick up, and I also frosted donuts at the time. Matter of fact, your last guest, Ripper, he's the one that taught me how to frost donuts the proper way.
No way.
Yeah, so Ripper was there when I first started. I was 18 years old. I'm 50 now. So yeah, it was. I tell you what, if he would hire me, if he would call me today and say, hey, this is what I'm giving you, I'd twist my wife's arm to buy a economical car just so I could work there. Hands down, my favorite job of all time.
Well, it sounds like you've had some good experiences around Winona for jobs.
Yeah.
Because you sound like you're really thankful for everyone that's been around, which that's really awesome. That just speaks for the local businesses that we have here and how well they treat people. So now you drove donuts around to different locations where they sold them?
Yes.
I mean, did you ever make them?
I transitioned to that baking. They needed some help on, I believe it was Thursdays and Fridays, just doing like White Mountain rolls and hot dog and hamburger buns. And
sure.
It kind of transitioned into that. And then later, I would come in on Saturdays and, help them a little bit on the bench. And then I'd go over and start frosting donuts and then keep delivering too. So
a question then from that, because Blado's, if those who are listening, if you have not had a Blado's donut, you need to go have one.
It's life-changing.
It really is. And I was always wondering, what is this? I've heard what the secret is to why they're so good is because they don't use preservatives. Is that the truth? Or
that's the truth. Yeah.
That's the truth. That's why they taste so good.
You could take our dough recipe that we use for pizzas, and there's probably 2 ingredients that we don't add to our dough recipe that they add to that, and it's a simple recipe. There's no preservatives. That's why you can go buy a loaf of bread from there, and I'll probably tell you maybe 3-4 days to eat it because it's gonna mold. There's no preservatives in it. It's not a loaf off the shelf at any grocery store that you can have in there for 2 weeks and still be wanting to eat it. You're gonna get all fresh stuff, and
that's the best.
And the recipes have not changed like everyone says.
Yes.
All things have changed. No, nothing's changed.
Everything's
the same. Still the great old recipes.
So did you go to culinary school then?
I did.
Okay. Where'd you go to?
Auguste Escoffier in Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
So when I left Kentucky Fried Chicken, started at Thurn, and I left there, and I was working at Keene Trucking, some good friends of mine too. And my mom calls one day. She was the salad lady there. She calls and goes, "We need a dishwasher." A dishwasher walked out. Well, I can do dishes. Well, walked in and I'm doing dishes, and our little Vietnamese chef, name was Bon, comes up and pokes me in the chest. And he goes, "Hey, big boy." He's, about 2 feet shorter than I was at the time. And he goes, "Big boy, here you know how to cook and you like to cook." I said, "Yeah, eggs in the microwave." So just joking with him, And, well, one thing led to another, and helped him and his sous chef the next day with a service, and it was awesome. So I've been hooked on cooking ever since.
Really? And I literally hate cooking. I'm telling you, I do not like it.
See, I love it. It's awesome.
Okay, so what makes you love it so much then?
Just, I guess when people eat my food.
Okay.
And they, oh my God, just
Yep.
their first reaction, the look on their face, and what they're, what they tell you afterwards, it warms me inside. I made them smile. I made them happy. If they had a bad day, and I hope the same with our pizzas.
Yeah.
We can make their day. But yeah, I left there, and I went to drive truck for Fastenal for 14 years. And when I'm on the road, that's all I'm thinking about. I want to be a chef. 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 Left Fastenal in 2010, I believe it was. Started at FedEx Freight. Lost my high-paying road job in 2012. Was very, very depressed, drinking a lot. And one night in October, I got really drunk and was watching PBS, because I still watched. We didn't have cable at the time when we lived up outside of Winona. And so I was just watching PBS. And Julia Child and Jacques Pepin, they're my idols. And right after Jacques' show, it said, if you want to be a chef, want to go to school, look up culinaryarts.com, whatever. I looked it up. It was bogus. So I started looking up culinary schools in Minnesota. First one that pops up, Auguste Escoffier. Boom, information. Signed it all up, whatever. Next one, Art Institute of Minnesota. Sent for information on that. Okay, well, I was drinking Keystone Light at the time, so it tells you how screwed up my brain was. And so went to bed the next morning. My wife and I had chiropractor appointments in La Crosse. I think we had 8 or 10 o'clock appointments. 8:45 phone rings. "Hi, Tom. It's so-and-so from Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts." And I looked at my phone. I'm like, "Hello? Yeah, what's going on?" "Oh, you requested some information." My wife was standing next to me. She goes, "What the hell did you do last night?" I said, "I don't know." So she right away says, "Okay, note to self, take all electronics away from Babs when he's been drinking." So I requested more information from them. Not kidding you. We left the yard, got on the interstate, because we lived right by the interstate. We literally left the house, got down the road, not even 5 minutes, phone rings again. "Hi, Tom, this is so-and-so from the Art Institute of Minnesota." She looks at me, she goes, "Oh my God, seriously? What did you do?" So we did a tour, or I got some info from the Art Institute, everything like that, way too much money. Got more information from Auguste Escoffier in Boulder, Colorado. One thing led to another. My wife and I were driving one day, and I said, I think I'm not going to do it. She literally pulls the car over on Mankato Avenue, right by the hospital, and she poked me in the chest, and she says, "Stop being a bitch. If you want this, go for it."
Perfect.
So I did.
Very blunt.
I'm very emotional, so I'm going to probably cry about 100 times in this interview. But yeah, we went out and checked out the school in December of 2012. I left February 14th of 2013 to head to Colorado, and the rest is history.
So how long does that program take?
9 months.
Oh, 9 months.
9
So it's
months.
not that bad.
Yeah,
then.
no,
It's
it was great, and we learned everything you could.
It was like a 5 days a week thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was great, because I had noon to 6 was my classes.
Okay.
I kept my job with FedEx Freight as a dock person, and I would literally get down to school at 6, be to work at 7, work 7 to midnight, head home, and I had a schedule. And I mean, it was a routine every day, and that's the reason I graduated top 3 in my class, because I'm a creature of habit. And
okay, so I have a question about that. What does it mean to graduate top 3 in a class? I assume it's not grades.
I had perfect attendance.
Okay.
I graduated with a 90. I think it was for the whole class, it was 94.8 or whatever. But I forgot to turn in one assignment, and I probably would have been number one.
Sure.
It's my fault. I screwed up.
Yeah. Do they judge you then on the quality of your food and how it tastes and all that?
We get critiqued every day and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a great course. I would highly recommend it. They do a lot online. I don't know how the online works, but you're still going to get a certificate and become a chef. So,
what was your favorite thing to make then?
to be honest with you, I learned how to make pasta. I love Alfredo.
Okay.
And when I made Alfredo with fresh noodles and fresh sauce, absolutely blew my mind.
Yeah.
And of me being a redneck, at the time still drinking Keystone, my specialties were Asian and Italian.
Oh, Asian food.
And
Hibachi is my favorite.
I made
my
wife a couple of Asian dishes here in the last few months, and it brings me back, and it's so awesome.
What were some of the Asian dishes you made?
Well, pad thai was my end of year grade, I guess it was. And I ended up getting a 97 on that. I was so upset with a 97. Who's going to be upset? I was, because I spent days and days and days. My prep sheet was down to every 2 minutes doing something, and I had a prep sheet that long that I hung in front of me, and it was every 2 minutes. And my chef instructor walked away with my food, and I'm like, "Hey, back here, I haven't salted it yet." And I said, "I need to season my food," because 2 classes before this, when we had a practical exam, he said something about my food wasn't seasoned. So I made sure I prepped it all in front of him, and yeah, everything was good.
You took notes.
But what scared me was about that practical exam, our final, I told him I was going to do bratwurst from start to finish, grinding the meat, smoking them, and cooking them for me. And he looked me right in the eyes. My chef instructor and I were, at the time, best friends. And he looked right at me and he goes, "Don't screw up, because I'm going to fail your big ass if you do." It was a hit or miss, and it scared me.
Okay.
But I should have done it, because now I understand how that would, how I could have smoked everything right on the stove.
Yep.
And I wish I would have knocked it out of the park.
Sure.
So I hate letting people down, and I know that would have been like they always like what Ricky Bobby says, checkers or wreckers, was it? So
Good quote. Good quote. So now you transition and you have the Woodshed, and that is wood-fired pizza, correct? Mm-hmm. And you just do it literally in a trailer, right?
Yes.
You don't have a brick and mortar place, do you?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. So, where do you come up with the idea for that?
So when I was in school, it goes back to that.
Okay.
We did our farm to table experience at a place called 63rd Street Farms out in Boulder, Colorado. I drive up. Now, mind you, I left Winona in 2013 with the mindset of opening a wood-fired pizza and a gourmet burger bar. That was my dream, a restaurant. And we get out there to 63rd Street Farms. I'm walking around, and I see a mobile wood-fired pizza trailer. And I start asking about it. Well, the guy that owned the farm built it for a guy named Antonio Ladicio that owned the Med out on Pearl Street in Boulder. And I talked to Antonio. And he says, "Son, come on out." He goes, "Come out to the Med, show you how to make dough. You come work for me at the Boulder Farmers Market on the weekend." Well, that weekend was, if you remember, back in 2013, September, when Boulder flooded.
Okay.
We had... So Boulder Farmers Market was like if you went from, let's just say, Huff Street to, I'm going to say Franklin Street, from, and just do an even, a square, or a plus sign. And that's how many food vendors were at. Produce vendors and craft vendors. It was one of the biggest farmers markets I've ever been involved in. And we lost over probably 3/4 of our vendors because they were all produce vendors, and they lost their whole crop because of the flood. So that weekend we sold 200 pizzas, and there was nobody at the farmers market. So that said to me, there's something about wood-fired pizzas that people love. So I come back, told her what I wanted to do. She looked at me, "Wood-fired pizza, that's disgusting." And I'm like, she's had one experience with it, and it wasn't
the greatest.
Wasn't the most pleasant one.
That's because you weren't doing it.
Right. Well, here's the funny thing. My wife hates pizza. And I will say...
Oh, that's even tougher.
And I will say that we probably make the best pizza in the tri-state area.
All right.
So, and anyway, so I get back, and I told her what I want to do. So I start looking at my business plan. We're laying on the beach in Mazatlan because she bought me a 3-week vacation as a gift for graduation.
Okay.
So we're laying on the beach drinking, and I'm doing my business plan as we're on the beach. And she says, "Why don't we do a mobile unit?" Because I worked with Antonio, and I looked right at her, and I'm not kidding you. My exact words, I'm not going to say it because we can't speak French on YouTube. So that would be stupid. Well, we have 2 trailers now, so.
So you have 2 trailers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was wrong. And so we just started with the small trailer, and everything just started getting bigger and bigger, and we turned down a lot of events. And I said, we might have to get another trailer. And we started looking at trailers, and one night we were over at Sullivan's for our anniversary in March. One of my favorite waitresses, because I worked at Sullivan's as well when I got out of school. And she comes up, she goes, "Tommy, a friend of mine is the booking person for Ashley for the Arts. They need you." And I'm like, okay. Well, then my wife says, if we're going to do it, you do it now. So I called the company that we bought the first trailer from, and they had a trailer. We ended up buying it, and yeah, the rest is history.
So what does it take to upfit a trailer to make it wood fire ready to go to make pizzas?
It's so the place called the Fire Within in Denver. They're in Denver right now. It's an enclosed trailer, and they build an oven. Now the newer ones, they're not like ours. They're more like the smoker trailers that have the smokehouses on the back, or the smoker ovens on the back, and that's how they're making them now. With ours, you open the whole side, and you can see the oven, you can see the flame, you can watch the prep area work and stuff like that. Ours is awesome. I would not change it. I would spend extra money if I had to buy a new trailer. I'd spend extra money to get it outfitted like ours.
Okay.
It's unique.
What kind of wood is it feeding then? Or how does it feed the wood to make?
I stick my arm through that 1,000-degree door and chuck a piece of wood in there, or
no kidding.
Some of our employees just use the paddle and throw it right on the fire. So
that's interesting.
It's cool, yeah. And then we've always wanted to try the pizza farm thing, like Ferguson or like.
Yep, I think was Ferguson
in Galesville.
Yeah, over. I know what you're talking about.
I can't think of it. I hope Rob. I can tell you the owner's name, Rob Grover. He's going to kill me but so anyway, we wanted to do that and over in Wamandee and stuff like that. So back in 22 it was, we purchased a 5-acre property in Independence, Wisconsin, and that's where our pizza farm is located. Right.
So you have a pizza farm now?
Correct.
No kidding.
Roscus Road outside of Independence.
Okay, so now I have way more questions, but I think I should stick with the trailer aspect first. So you have 2 trailers, is that correct?
Yes.
And you just go, does someone hire you to go to these places, or do you just show up when you can?
So we have a website, woodshedpizza.com. Go ahead and check it out. We have a calendar on there, and we do weddings. Any kind of private party you want. Weddings, rehearsal dinners, graduation parties. And if you want a party, you better, for a graduation party, get a book now or book out to 26. I'm booking into 26 already.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's
wow.
awesome. But we show up, and after we leave, you don't even know we're there unless there's a little flour. Your dog's gonna eat the pepperoni that we've dropped on the ground and stuff like that.
So you're really clean then when you're done. Cleanups, great. So how many people do you have to employ then to do an event? I guess
it depends.
Because I know you're there all the time. I see you working back. You say hi to me, and
it's either myself or my wife. Yeah. But it's usually anywhere between 4 and 5 people, depending on how many pizzas we have.
Okay.
I usually like to have anything over 150 pizzas. I want to have 5 employees because I have someone cutting pizzas. I have someone filling the warmer. We have 2 people on the prep station and then 1 in the oven.
Okay.
So, and that, it gives us a runner if we need.
So then you said you have a 5-acre farm now.
Yep.
So are you open in the winters or
not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. It's in the works for something that'll be, semi-seasonal, I guess you want to say.
Sure.
Or semi all season. Let me say not seasonal. We are seasonal right now. But I'd like to build some kind of a structure that because we have a snowmobile trail within 200 yards of our house.
Oh man, people will come for that.
That'd be ridiculous.
For sure.
And I want to have parking and stuff there for them as well. So you can drop your trailers and just go miles and miles of trails.
So if someone wants to book you, then they have to pay you, or you just...
Yeah, so go on the website, just give me some general information, name, phone number, email, guest count, location of your event. Then I'll get back to you with, say, because if it's, my formula is 3/4 of a pizza per person. So you got 100 people, 75 pizzas.
Okay.
And you'll have a few left over.
Sure.
So, it's pretty simple, and then we just go from there, and then just back and forth with emails and get it all booked up.
So what does a week look like for you? Like, you're obviously not going into work 9 to 5. It can be all over the place, right?
Yeah. I actually have a part-time 9 to 5 job. I drive truck for Fireline Sprinkler, delivering pipe, but that works out perfect because that's usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for me, and we usually work Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Wow.
So it works perfect.
So you're working like 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's my life, man. How are you going to make money if you don't work?
That's absolutely true. So then let's go with what I want to go just off the wood fire pizza. What does it look like then? You have to get all your ingredients prepped because obviously you're mobile. So it's not like someone delivers the food to your restaurant. They have to bring it to you somewhere.
So we work at our commissary making dough. We'll prep dough, get a lot ready. We freeze our dough balls. That's part of the proofing process with our recipe.
Okay.
And then say two days minimum you want to get everything ready. Get the dough ready. Our stuff is fully cooked frozen usually is what we do. We buy some from Zabel's and Reinhardt's, our two vendors. But
yeah, Zabel's right next door.
Yep. But now with the farm, we're hopefully gonna I have 3 part-time jobs in the winter, but one of my part-time jobs in the winter is working at Busch's Meat Market, which is also our commissary, and that's out of Independence, Wisconsin. So if you need any good fresh foods, check out Busch's Meat Market in Independence. But we're working with them to get a sausage recipe and a pepperoni recipe, and that'll be strictly for the farm is all.
Okay. Now I know when I've had your pizzas, the ingredients look very, very fresh. When I order, I'm the sausage, mushroom, green pepper guy. So when I have that, it all looks very, very fresh when I get it. So I'm assuming your ingredients are not sitting in a freezer for months on end. They must be pretty fresh. I don't know where you get them from, but whenever I get a pizza, I'm not skimped on any toppings. They look like they're from a salad almost.
So yeah, we like to frequent. If we don't have it growing out of our garden, let's just put it that way.
Okay.
We're gonna frequent the farmers markets in Eau Claire or in Independence, Wisconsin. They have a farmers market, so we like to work with that. Mushrooms, we only use fresh mushrooms. Nothing's out of a can. So
see, that's what makes it so good. I'm telling you, my favorite things on a pizza are the crust and the sauce. And then the ingredients, obviously you can tell the difference between what you're using compared to if you got it from a commercial place that probably, they're going all over the country for it. But I can just tell that you use really good ingredients. Now, how long does it take you to make each pizza then?
Well, we talked to a guy in La Crosse one time. We told him how many pizzas we make at Ashley for the Arts.
Okay,
and
that's
it's
huge.
An average of between 1,800 and 2,000 pizzas in 3 days. And this guy looked at me and goes, "You must have a machine to do that." I said, "Yeah, I married her March 6th of 08. And my wife can pump out a pizza from a dough ball to a 10 to 12-inch crust in about 12 seconds.
Wow.
And then literally top it, sauce it in my oven in about 40 seconds or less.
Jeez.
And then it's up to me to not screw it up from there. So we had a guy at, this was a friend of ours, Joe Leonards was working with us yet. One of our best employees ever. Wish I could have him back. He was working with us at Ecker's Apple Farm one day. My wife was making pizzas, Joe was cooking, I was taking the money. Guy looks at me, goes, "How long?" Now, my wife, she will listen to your order. When you're ordering, she'll hear you order the pepperoni, sausage, mushroom.
Yep.
And she'll have it done before I can even turn around and say sausage, pepperoni, mushroom. And So this guy, my wife didn't hear the order yet. And he goes, how long? I said, 5 minutes. He looked at me. He goes, bullshit. I turned my watch on, or my stopwatch on. I said, sausage pepperoni, please. She made the pizza. Joe cooked it. I cut it in his hand. 3 minutes and 42 seconds.
How is it cooked that fast? I feel like it would be really soggy in the middle then.
Should be a minute and a half in the oven if it's up to temp.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How does it cook so well in the middle then?
Just hot floor, the cement floor.
Sure. Okay.
Make sure it's up to temp, because we've had so many issues if it's not up to temp. I keep trying to instill this into my employees. Get that fire raging. If we're not open yet, get that fire raging.
Yeah.
Get the floor to at least 550 to 600 plus.
So then it just cooks it nice and fine.
Yeah.
It cooks all the way through, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, because so I got a funny story. When I was in college, I worked in the cafeteria and I cooked pizzas at one of we had like a buffet style, and I was at the pizza oven and I had the flame up to 500 degrees. I was like, I'm gonna make these pizzas so fast that people are gonna be ready. By the time they got them, they would get them and it was soggy in the middle still, and it was crispy on the outside. These aren't done right. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, sorry.
That's brutal.
And the guy's like, you need to slow down the cooking process. I'm like, oh man, that's like 12 minutes. I was getting them done in like 5 minutes, but it wasn't. And I know that I know yours are a little bit. Yours almost like a personal pan, like a
little
small,
bigger than a little bigger.
Yeah, like you said, what, 10 to 12 inches?
Yeah.
What's that considered, like a smaller medium?
Medium.
A medium pizza. So these were considered a large. I think they're like a 16-inch pizza. So it may not have done it because of the fact that they were thicker crust for sure. And I was like, oh, I felt bad because they were gooey in the middle, and the people came back. Yeah. I'm like, well, I'm like, just give me like 10 minutes and I'll get you one perfectly done. No problem.
Nice. Hell yeah. You backed it up, and that's what we do as well.
Yeah.
If there's a hole in the middle of it or something, or it's too burnt on the outside, I'll look at it. But, I mean, the charring on one of our pizza, or they call it leopard stripes, but if there's a little bit of a char on the outside, you honestly can't taste it.
Like a little blackening?
Yeah. Even on the bottom, you can't taste it.
And you know what? People, everyone knows that I'm the well-done, crispy guy of anything. And so I'm like, you really can't screw up my pizza unless you literally leave it in there and it comes out completely black. That's the only way you're going to get me to complain.
Yeah.
I'd complain if it was gooey. I'd complain before I'd complain if it tastes a little charcoaly.
Yeah. But
or burnt.
If there's a problem with anything, address the problem.
Yeah.
Or I'll say, hey, Chris, there's a hole in this. You can take this one. We're going to make you a new one. So
it sounds like your work ethic and the way you manage your business. It sounds like you probably had a lot of knowledge from previous places that you were talking about, because you stand behind your product. It sounds like, which is amazing. I've had your product many times. The most recent time was at Andre's wedding in June. That was amazing.
That was one of the coolest events that I think I was a part of.
What did you like about that? That it was just like come up and order.
Yeah. And when he told us that he was going to have multiple food trucks, I'm like, oh God, just let us do it. I was being selfish, but the way he had it set up, that was, I loved it.
It was great. He gave options, but I came and got a pizza. I had to have pizza.
But man, I would have loved to have been over at Lance's trailer and, just getting everything, because that guy puts out a hell of a product too.
The backwater?
Yeah.
That's good too. I see pizza is like my favorite food of all time. So you have any sort of pizza, I want to try it. It doesn't matter if it's wood fire or something that's different. I want pizza because it's just my favorite food of all time. And then you can put any toppings you want in it. So I really love your product. Cool. So now you go to different like farmers markets and do this too?
We have in the past. Just found out there wasn't enough traffic to make it work.
Sure.
And so we kind of gave up on them. There's a few that want us again, and it's just, I don't know. It's not that we're too busy, but we got a lot of stuff going on Fridays. Fridays we usually doing lunches at a Gunderson and Gunderson in La Crosse, or in Toma Health.
Yeah.
So we're trying to transition back home and get our farm going, because we literally, when we do those two events, we got an hour to get home and get everything set up. So I try and get stuff set up on Friday or Thursday, or Friday morning before we leave. But I got to be out of the house by 8:30 to get down to either of these places.
Yeah.
So,
what are some of your favorite events that you do? Is there one that, because you probably you said Ashley for the Arts. I mean, for those who are listening, if you don't know what Ashley for the Arts is, huge concert that goes from like Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Arcadia, Wisconsin. So, like you said, would you crank out like 2,000 pizzas or something?
I believe it was 2019, I think, or
2019.
No, 2021. After the Rona, we came back in 2021. We did 2,040 pizzas, and this is how I tell the story. We did 2,040 pizzas in 3 days, and we did 87 of those on Thursday.
Wow.
We did 1,040 pizzas on Saturday night. We sold out.
Jeez.
And I walked out. This was awesome. I walked out in the middle of the crowd, told my buddies, I said, get your phones ready. I walked out, and I stone colded 2 Busch Lights out in the middle, and that was so awesome.
Yes.
That was the highlight, man.
Stone cold those bad boys.
And I chucked them in the air after I was done, and about a half hour later, some people come up, hey, congratulations on the pizza sales. I say, yeah, I know, I stone colded 2 beers. The guy goes, yeah, I know, you hit me in the head with one of the empty beers. I'm like, oh, sorry, buddy, here.
See, does it feel, okay, so I only can imagine that you can say, I was successful today because I sold out. Does that feel good? Like, what do you feel like? Or are you like, oh, dang it, I wish I had more to sell?
You can always do better.
Okay.
That's my brain power. I sold 500. I could have done 510.
Okay.
That's me.
Yep. No, that's okay. That's okay.
Don't be a negative Nancy. No, I want to win. I don't come to take second.
Yes.
So I want to win. I want to be successful.
First, you're last. Now the
That's
Ricky
right.
Bobby quote,
That's
right?
That's right. So, or second's the first loser.
Sure. So back to the original question I had. What do you have like a favorite event? Like if someone hires you for a wedding, or is there something that really stands out? Like, yeah, these are always fun to do. I love doing those ones.
I find graduation parties for me. I love doing weddings because the bride and groom are always super cool to you. But graduation parties, this is crazy with us. We had a graduation party in Unalaska, cul-de-sac, and we did the first time and only time I've been wrong on numbers, the wrong way for me. I told the guy 170 pizzas. We had extras there. We had another 40 extra. They ended up buying the 40 extra plus we ran out again.
Oh, geez.
And I said, that was the first time I've ever been wrong. Otherwise, it's usually they got 25, 30 extra.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting 5 parties out of that graduation party. 5 different graduation parties. And 4 of them were in that same neighborhood. So when I did the last one, I'm like, is there any houses for sale? I said, let's just have a block party every Friday night. You guys could pay me, So I love graduation parties because the graduation or the grad student, he's happier than hell you're there.
Oh, yeah.
Loving it. Mom and dad are so thankful because the stress level is at 0 when the food truck shows up or when the food shows up, the caterer. And when I put that stack of business cards out there and I leave with half of them, that's when I know I win. Because if I got rid of 8 business cards and I get 3 responses back, that's all I needed.
So graduation, I can understand for a parent. You'd be like, you know what? You come and do all the work. We don't have to worry about the food now because I know how that could be probably stressful trying to manage having, make sure there's enough food, this, that, and the other thing. All you do is worry about getting the drinks for whatever for the graduation party. If I roll up to a graduation party, and I have rolled up to a graduation party, and it was wood fire pizza, and I don't know if it was you because this was like 7 years ago in Spring Valley. Could have been you, but it was wood fire pizza of some sort. And I rolled up, I'm like, this is awesome, wood fire pizza. But I feel like it was you. I don't know if you've never done.
Might have been.
Have you ever done Stewartville, Spring Valley area?
I did a wedding out there.
Okay, so it probably was someone else.
But there was a wood-fired trailer that we looked at out there.
Okay,
we bought ours, and that was 8 years ago. So
that might have been it then.
Actually, no. It might have been Twisted Barrel out of Rochester. My friend Derek Chapman. It's probably him. Okay. He just has. Well, he's out of business now. He's sold everything.
Oh, sure.
He overwhelmed himself. He had an awesome product, and people just he got mobbed with business, and he got tired of it, and it burned him out so bad. He's working for someone now. Wow.
Yeah. I rolled up and I was like, wood fire pizza. This is what's on. This is what I can have, and I was like, perfect. Because I love pizza, and and it was great because I'm like, it tastes fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, wood fire pizza is different than when it goes through a conveyor belt from like a convection oven. It's just a different taste and different flavor.
We had a few places, I contacted a few places to come in and sell pizzas for different events, and nope, sorry, we already have pizzas. I said, do you have wood fired pizza? No. but we have pizza. I said, well, then you don't have pizza, and I hung up. If they're not interested, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, there's just something different about it. I don't know what it is, but it must be pretty popular. Now, another question I have for you is, do you sell any liquor or anything like that, or no?
On our farm, we do.
On your farm,
we have a liquor license out there, yes.
Okay. What if you wanted to do it in your trailer? Do you have to have
we
a...
can't.
You can't.
There's
Okay.
no traveling license. State of Minnesota,
Gotcha.
You'd have to have 4 arms and 4 extra arms and a couple legs to even get a liquor license, and it's so expensive to keep it, I think.
It's just not worth it, probably.
Yeah, and to have a traveling license like that, I don't think there is one available even. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing like that over in Wisconsin for us anyway, because we did the Mecum auction at Elmer's.
Oh, did you?
And they contacted us because Les gave our name to them.
Yeah, I know Les.
They contacted us and they wanted us to get a liquor license. I said, well, I have a liquor license for the town of Hale and where we live. And I said, let me do some digging and see if I can get one in there.
Yeah.
There wasn't. So I was actually going to try and pass it on to Bob and Tyrone because they're in the town of Milton over there where it was. And I said, try and, get up there and do it. And there was no way they could. They were too busy. So.
Sure. What is some of the struggles that you've had with the business? There's got to be something, I assume, that you're like, oh man, that this is hard, or I struggled doing this at first and now I got it mastered. You laugh about that. I don't know.
Pull it out of the yard and remembering if you have everything in the truck.
So
when we first started, my dad gave us his Suburban. He had a 97 GMC Suburban. And we would leave, and I'm not kidding you, there would be 4 or 5 of the yellow and black totes. There's tables, there's coolers, there's this, that, and the other in there. The next year, there's 2 totes in there. Tables are stashed in a different spot. This, that, and the other. We get down the road, and my wife looks back. She's freaking out. We forgot something. I'm like, no, we just learned how to organize a little better. The next year, there's nothing in the back of the truck. We're just hauling the back empty, and everything's in the trailer. You learn over the years. And I'm very good at Tetris, so I can.
Sure.
I'll stash stuff in there, and I tell my employees, everything has to go back in our small trailer, especially. Everything has to go back the same way you pulled it out. So pay attention to how you pull it out and put it back. Otherwise, I just do it myself.
Yeah.
And they all get it now with our big trailer because there's a little more room in there. But you also have to remember I got a Honda 7000 generator that's got to go in the back. So they know how to stack. All our employees, they got it now. They mastered it, and they know how to stack everything the proper way. So don't shift around going down the highway.
Sure.
Break stuff. So.
Okay, so then that was another question I had is, when you're parked there, how does the electricity work in there? You said you had a generator.
We got generators, so
Okay.
I think we made Harbor Freight famous with their Predator 3500s. Because when we first started buying them, they were $450. Now they're over $800.
Oh wow!
And we've gone through 9 of them, but we burned them out because we were using them on our big trailer.
Yeah. And
then I ended up buying a Honda 7000 from Brian Hammernick out at Winona Rental, and
sure,
that's a godsend. It powers our big trailer no problem. And we've actually, when we used to do boats and bluegrass, we had our trailer powered up, 2 prep stations, our fridge freezer, another chest freezer, all the lights, a pop cooler, and I believe we had something else plugged in. And then we did an event at Pearl Street Brewery too, and we actually had the band plugged into our generators as well.
No kidding.
So yeah, the Honda 7000's indestructible.
That's the way to go, huh?
Way too much power, which is fine. I'll take it. Endless power.
What you need, yeah. So then what's the best part about this business? Woodshed Pizza. What's the best part about it?
Like I said before, just the look on people's faces and the gratitude they have for, when they eat it, and they love it.
And I can attest to that.
And the little kids, I'm going to cry again because we had a little kid. We did a youth outdoor festival in La Crosse on Freedom Park between French Island and La Crosse.
Okay.
And they had the kids were shooting bows, BB guns, fishing. There was like 8-10 different things. They had a bunch of kids they interviewed at the end. 9 of them said, "Oh, fishing, the hunt, or the bows, da da da." The last kid, he says, "I love the pizza." I walked behind my trailer, I hit my knees, and I cried like a baby.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you hear something that great about yourself, and you're like, they weren't put up to say, say pizza, please, for them.
The 3 things that don't lie.
Yep.
little kids, drunk people in yoga pants. So.
Oh, what? Little kids, chunk people, and yoga pants do not lie, folks. That's a great quote. I love it. Now, you said you brought me some memorabilia
got some
here.
swag.
What do we got? Let's see the swag here.
Right, so let's start with the little stuff first here.
All right, what do we got?
We got you a Woodshed hat.
All right, Woodshed hat.
So there you go.
Thank you. It looks just like the one you're wearing there.
Something similar, yeah.
Perfect.
And then we got, it's not the same colors I have, but you got to be on a bowling team to get one of these green ones.
Oh, that's okay because I like gray.
Yeah, and then we got you a Woodshed mobile wood-fired pizza
Nice.
shirt.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, Woodshed mobile-fired pizza. I love that. That's great because I love these kind of shirts. And so, can you buy these if you wanted to?
We do have them available, yes.
You're going to get some swag here in the next couple of weeks when I invite you to the party that you're going to be invited to.
Perfect.
Because I got a 1-year anniversary parties you may or may not have heard of.
Nice.
And so
your roadie.
Oh, my roadie. Yeah, and now I want to transition into something different. Oops.
Careful, might break.
When you walked in here, I mean, you requested a certain car to be behind us. And for those who are watching, you're going to see a bright red car behind us. And it's a local Legends car, and it's been talked about before on the podcast. However, you requested that we have Carl Fenske's car, which my dad owns, and you requested to have that car back there, and you walked in and go, that thing just almost brings me to tears. So what's the request then? Obviously, you must have been close with him, is my guess.
I've known Carl since I was probably 4 or 5 years old. My dad used to bartend at Ed's 500 when it was still Ed's 500.
Sure.
So I've known Carl, and that guy always had a shit-eating grin on his face, and he'd make you smile.
Yeah.
I loved Carl. He was just one of the greatest people. I mean, you either love Carl or you hate Carl, and I was one of the people that loved Carl.
Yeah.
I seen him a lot because I used to help Jim Reed race, and Carl was in our shop regularly because the Reed boys were good friends with Carl.
Okay.
And so one of my greatest memories of Carl, I was racing at the time. We were at Casson, and I'm buckled in my car for the feature, racing pure stocks. And modified features out there racing. And I want to say, Mike Katormson was still alive and racing at the time. I can't remember now. But anyway, I think he ended up winning. Carl and Steve Wetstein were racing for second and third. Race gets over. Carl takes second. I'm buckled in the car. It's July. Hotter than two rats, doing it in a wool sock. And
Where are these quotes coming from?
Oh, I got way too many, buddy. I got a lot more. But I'm sweating balls in my car.
Sure.
And I shut it off. I hollered to my wife. She's up at pit road, and I'm hollering at her, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? All of a sudden, here comes every possible entrance into the racetrack. I see sirens. Cops are coming. So I screamed at her. I'm like, what did Carl do now? Well, he overtook Wetstein, and, Steve decided he was going to come over and help Carl take his helmet off.
Okay.
So that was how that ended. So, yeah, that man he was something else. And, if you find a better racer than him, good luck.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, actually, when I was younger, we were actually neighbors with him out in Valley Oaks at one point, and we still have videotapes of my dad zooming in on Carl from across the backyards, and I don't even know why he was doing it. I mean, other than a video camera was cool at the time. Nowadays they're in our pocket, so it's not as cool anymore. But I have that, and then I remember probably like 5 years before he passed, he would see me downtown and he would start honking at me and he would start swerving at me while I'm like, what's up? He'd be just yelling at me. I'm like, Carl, what are you doing?
Just relax. I told Michael and Mitchell at Andre's wedding, I says, next year when you guys come down, now they can't because the late models are gone, so I don't know if they're going to race. Mitchell actually owns Carl's last modified now, I guess.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's going to race that or not. But
I need to get the boys on the podcast, really.
I think you should.
That'd be fun.
But anyway, I told him, I said, next time you guys race at Fountain City and I get some time, I said, we're going to do something that Fountain City Racetrack has not heard in probably 20 years. And they said, what's that? I said, I'm going to walk in the pits and I'm going to say, F you, Fensky. I'm going to kick your ass. You heard that on a regular basis when Carl, the guy was
down the pits.
He wasn't gonna let you win.
Sure.
If he could overtake you, he's gonna get you. Yep. So he was. Yeah, I just loved him. So that's why that red car is back there, because the man was a legend and one of my heroes.
Yeah, and that's the funniest thing about that is we have all these cars in here, and that one is one of the ones that we paid the least amount for, but gets the most attention in here.
Yep.
And it's because the people that come in here are local people that remember him too, but also it stands out because it obviously looks like a race car.
Right.
And so that one gets the most looks in here, which is really a cool thing because we like to preserve it, obviously, and it doesn't get driven anywhere. And then every year they do the Carl Fensky Memorial, and they always ask my dad, "Hey, can you bring that?" And then they put it on the trailer, and they go around. And every year it always gets a very high praise. So that's really a cool thing.
Yeah.
So then you raced too, then?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Why do you say unfortunately?
Oh God!
Money pit.
It's an never-ending money pit. But I started helping Neil Hester and my friend Garrick Barham when I was like 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
At Tri-Oval. And I wish I'd have stayed across the street at my house, help my dad do wood projects, because I could probably be able to put a window and door in my house instead of wasting money on race cars. But I just helped them guys, and then I decided one night I talked to Daryl Hundorf, and I said, hey, I heard you got a car I could race. Well, yeah, come on up. Well, I went up, and you can race this one. It was actually, I want to say it was Jeff Huffer's old Torino, and he won a points championship with it. I'm like, it's a great car. I could do something in it. So I roll up there. I'm like, yeah, well, let's do this. I sat in it. Everything's fine. Get the race night. I roll down there. Transmission was out of it, like not in the car. And I'm like, are we going to race or not? Yeah, we'll have it ready. So I showed up at St. Charles. Car was there. So I'm like, all right, well, I got in, we raced, and first race ever, I ended up, I think out of 10 cars in the heat, I ended up third. Went out in the feature, and I'm thinking, I can win this thing. Well, I ended up overtaking second place and spun out and ended up losing the motor. Well, the next race I went out, I raced actually Danny Hundorf's car. I took a hiatus with, that was the last time I raced any of Daryl's cars. So Danny, his son, who was my boss up at Keene Trucking at the time, he let me race his car in a Pitman's race. I started dead last. By lap 2, I was leading the race. And at 5 laps, I was lapping second place coming across for the checkered flags.
Wow.
So I'm like, well, Freddie Gertis got a hold of that, one of my best friends, and he goes, I think we need to build a car. Well, then I bought a car from my wife's brother. Actually, no, I bought, Tony, can't think of his last name now. Why not? Owns Sunshine Sanitation.
Oh yeah, he actually has his boat down in Winona Marina.
Yeah.
Gosh damn it, I know too. I know who you're talking about though.
I'm drawing a blank for some reason. Anyway,
that's all right. I'll come to you.
So I bought his car on a drunken deal at Bergie's Bar and Grill one night for $100.
A drunken deal.
So ended up getting a car from my wife's brother so we could use the body and some other chassis parts. Ended up burning up the 305 in there and still doing well. Well, I talked to another friend of mine and got a motor from him, it was legal. And went out, and that car was so dominant. And I mean, I ended up one night at Fountain City, come over and was leading the whole pack by a half a track lead and coming in for the checkered flags and stuffed her in the wall.
Yeah,
I was about 20 feet from my first real checkered flag, not a mechanics race. But yeah, then I just kind of decided it was time to transition away, and I bought a few here and there and raced the first ever class with Soda B mods, and that was horrible. My checkbook, I learned fast that my checkbook could not keep up. So I tried it again 3 years ago. Kind of told my wife it was a marketing thing, so everything was a write-off. And
Sure.
that was dumb. But hey, the race car I still have it. It's actually going to be a marketing tool now, because I'm going to weld a couple of brackets on the front bumper and back bumper and put pizza flags on the front and back and get a car dolly and run it out to the end of the road. And so it's
did you know much about cars? Or did you have a good pit crew that
I had a great pit crew, and I had a hell of a lead foot, and I would unzip the top of my head and take the brain off and take my brain out and put it on the dash of the truck and then go race. So never used the brakes, which the reason I crashed a lot.
Yeah, see, I always wanted to race, but I knew nothing about cars. I just I think I could probably do somewhat well just because of maybe the lead foot portion that you're talking about, but I wouldn't know how to build anything. I'd be like, give me the keys or whatever we gotta do. Give me the suit, and I want to go out there and just go like hell.
But now technology's way too much, and the money, like I said, my checkbook
couldn't keep up.
There's no way I can keep up.
Well, it sounds like you're obviously doing something you love maybe a little bit more, which is the business
it
aspect.
interfered a lot with my business, and so now I just sponsor a couple cars, and I live through those guys.
I might get on a sponsorship on one of them. I had a guy on, Jake James. He was on a couple weeks ago. Oh, you know him too?
I know him.
Huh?
I raced my niece's car a couple of years ago, Kaylee Chose, and I raced against him and his dad. His dad actually rolled that night when I raced.
He was talking about that. Maybe it was the one where he had the most rollovers in one crash or something.
That was the first lap of the heat race. He's laying on his top on turn 3. I'm like, what the hell's going on? We just started the race.
Yeah, I've known him for quite some time, so that's cool then. Now, you also said you brought some sort of dessert for us.
Did I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
And I had glasses all ready to go for us. So, what's this dessert you said you brought us?
Well, this is something I found, actually.
You found?
A lot of people are drinking it now because it's actually pretty popular. But
Okay.
So, yeah, just simple Old Smoky mint chocolate chip.
I've never seen that before.
Really?
No. I've never seen that before. Well, that's fine.
It's an act of God sometimes to get into these, but that's
mint chocolate chip.
Yeah.
See, now my favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip. So.
Well, you're set then.
I'm set. I got glasses for us then because you said you had some dessert drink for us to have. Got to have dessert after Busch Lights, obviously. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Looks close. Well,
whatever, it's fine.
Thanks for that.
Cheers, Babs. So as we're what other things you got going on in your life then? So we've covered quite a few things. Obviously your business, your love for culinary arts, your love for the Woodshed Pizza. You've raced. You love Carl's car. You have memories with him, whether good or bad. Sounds
all
like
mine are good.
All yours are good. Maybe not the other people's. What else do you got going on in your life then?
Well, just bowling, I guess. Finally retired from that after 35 years.
You retired from bowling?
Yeah, I had to. Living where we do, nearest bowling alley is Eau Claire, so 40 minutes for me. I'm 47 minutes. That sucks, doesn't it?
This could be dangerous.
It's so.
Let's
transition to the away from bowling and talk about the drink here.
Yeah,
so,
this is pretty damn good.
The bar down the road from us, when they were still open, had an advertisement for Old Smoky, mint chocolate chip, and peanut butter. They have a peanut butter one like this as well. And I said, is that one shot or is that 2 shots? And the bartender couldn't answer my question. I said, well, give me 2 shots in a big glass. So what I did is I mixed them all in 1 cup. And I took a drink. My neighbor was sitting next to me. I handed it to her, and I go, Melanie, you got to try this. She tried it. Every time she went in the bar after that, which was every Sunday after church. That's another story. But she ordered that drink every time. And it's the mint and the peanut butter together is just unbelievable.
And okay, so this is I don't eat peanut butter. Peanut butter is great. I like peanut butter, but I don't eat it with this. This tastes like ice cream.
This is so good. And it's even better in a shake.
What's it taste like? What's that one from Sullivan's?
The grasshopper.
Yeah, that's what it tastes like.
Yep.
Just tastes like a grasshopper. This is definitely an after dinner drink.
Oh God,
sure.
Yes, it's so good. So yeah. Anyway,
so you discovered this where?
I wanted to try it. Our workers and we send recipes back to each other, and one of our workers is from down south.
Okay.
And she used to actually bring this stuff home when she'd come back before it got popular.
Sure.
And so every time I see a new one, I'm like, hey guys, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. So I just bought some, and yeah, we've been drinking this. So there's another one called Tippy Cow. That's pretty good.
Wow. Oh yeah, I've heard typical.
I was going to bring the orange one tonight, but I couldn't find it in our local grocery store.
This is the one I want. I don't need orange creamsicles. You give me mint chocolate cream, chocolate chip cream. And I've heard of Old Smoky. I've seen that on the shelves plenty of time, but I did not know that they made one like this.
Yeah.
This is damn good.
It's pretty ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, I want to go into your bowling now. I mean, bowling's huge around our area.
Yeah. So
how long were you bowling for?
About 35 years. I started
Okay.
when I was 13. Took
Sure.
a year off, obviously, when I went to culinary school. But I just got asked to sub when I was 13 in a junior league. My friend's mom got me started. And first year, I ended up taking second place in the damn city tournament. And I'm like, well, I sucked. Well, you had handicap. Well, then I started working, a little more with, when you work with the Goloszewskis,
They're bowlers. Yeah.
it's almost like that talent kind of rolls off to you.
Oh,
you know?
man.
But I learned a lot from Johnny, just watching Johnny. And Johnny's the guy that'll come over, when you're bowling 4 lanes over, he'll come over and stop doing this, you'll try this, you practice with John. He's going to be honest with you. And John, I practiced a little bit with John, over the years. But, probably Dave Hulkren.
Gosh, I know all these names.
Seth Bono. My bowling team, every one of them has helped me over the years, and I bowled a lot of different teams. But just you start learning, and when you're not that 19-year-old cocky kid like I was when I was actually decent at bowling. I'm better than you. I don't need to listen to you. Well, you blow your arm out and you're on the shelf for 3 months.
Right.
That's when you start listening, and that's when the brain kicks in and. Yeah, the equipment gets better. My stuff's all equipment now. It's not any talent. There's zero talent. I could kick the ball down the lane and do just as good as I am now. But I just last year, when one of my good friends, Mike Durnan, passed away, the night he died,
I remember him.
Showed up at bowling and said something about, I was thinking about Durnan all day because I was throwing wood in my yard all day, restacking wood piles and, just cleaning up my yard. It was a beautiful day, November 17th. And I get to bowling. I'm like, God, I was just, I was thinking about Durnan all day because he wasn't doing well. Well, my teammates, Aaron Serwa, goes, well, Durnan died at 3 o'clock. And from that point, this was 6 o'clock now. From that point, I remember nothing, not a thing. I went out and I shot my 5th 300 first game, and with 226 second game. Started out the first 10, the third game for 289, which was the last game that I shot with Durnan was a 289. He shot 289 with me in the Trios League in Rushford. So I get home, I sit on my couch, turn on Facebook, and that was when I first had any recollection of shooting 300. So had that happen. My team, Brian Dunbar, Philip Dunbar, Hunter Dunbar, we won the city tournament last year in our division. And the last night of bowling, I picked up, the only spare that I have not picked up was the Big Four. I picked it up. And I said at that point, I'm done. I've done everything I needed to. If I want to go back, I can. My team will take me back on Friday nights, I hope, if they're listening. Still have some kind of talent, maybe.
Sure.
But I told my wife, I said, I just, if I want to, there's a senior league, and I'm 50 and I can bowl a damn senior league.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. There's a traveling senior tournament. I'll go bowl that. Because, it's literally like riding a bike. You have enough muscle memory. I've done it for 35 years. Give me, 15, 20 games, and I'll pick it right back up where I was.
Yeah. Well, bowling around here is huge.
Mm-hmm.
All those names you just named, you ran off. I know all those names because from racing.
Yeah.
And also, funny story, I'm pretty sure John Goloszewski was with my dad after a bowling night one night. And I can't remember if it was him or one of the other guys. They bowled so bad, they said, I'm going to throw my damn ball in the river.
Probably Scott Schultz.
No. It was either Nick Perella or it was Johnny Glow. And they went up the interstate bridge to go across to Wisconsin. They threw the ball out, didn't go far enough. It hit the pavement and rolled back into Winona on the bridge.
You gotta be kidding me.
And rolled through town.
No.
I wish my dad was here to tell you this story
Oh my
because
God.
that happened. And I want to say it was, I know my dad said Johnny Glow was with him and maybe Nick Perella. And I can't remember if it was one of those two who had the bad game. And so I'm throwing my damn ball in the Mississippi. Nope, they missed it and it hit the pavement and went back into town.
That's beautiful.
Rolled past the YMCA. It was bouncing, they said. I was like, oh my gosh. And then another one, my dad said he had a, and this was, I know, is Nick Perella, and I'm sure you know Nick because he obviously owns Sammy's in town.
Yep.
They went to the state bowling tournament and he rolled so low it was literally double digits only, and I guess the bowling commissioner for the state tournament knocked on their door and wanted to talk to the guy who had the lowest score ever.
Probably
or
gave
something
him a
like
free entrance to the tournament the next year.
I guess he said when they answered the door he had an ice bucket on his head when he answered.
Yeah, I have so many memories. I bowled state tournament with Brian Faulkner's another very inspirational person in my bowling career. Russ Prino, guys like that. I bowled with the Prinos. I have two Prinos on my bowling team right now, Bob and Rick, and those guys have been nothing but help over the years. And just me and Ricky were partners at Super Bowl doubles for years, and we were known as the drunk team and the loud team because we just started at 9 o'clock drinking and be so loud. And we actually made a couple of cuts at this tournament. It's like, how? We can't even see. But we're
seeing 4 lanes right now.
It's horrible. But yeah, I have so many tournament memories, state tournaments with Johnny and Brian. It's just and Greg, Brian's brother, Greg Faulkner. Just I love bowling with those guys.
That's awesome.
Way too many memories. Way too many Coors Lights too.
Well, as we're starting to wind down the podcast, because we're going a little over an hour, what other things you up to? I mean, you kind of since retired from bowling. You have the farm now now you're working on the farm for the Woodshed.
Yep.
But you're also everywhere else. What other things you got going on?
Nothing right now. Just trying to get, bookings and everything for next year. Get our license and everything ready for next year and stuff like that. But just wife and I are kind of working on different things. We want to try and set up some. Get some bands and stuff like that out at the farm for next year. Figure out what's going to keep people there, what's going to bring people in.
Okay.
Different games and stuff like that.
Yep.
Hopefully it works out. I mean, this year was scary. Okay. Because the first year we did it was last year, or 2 years ago, I should say. I banked all my chips on that farm, and we lost. Okay. Because I turned down a lot of private parties. Oh. And so this year we had a slow year on the farm. Great year in the mobile side. It was awesome. But it was slow on the farm side. But wife was battling a little illness this summer, so it's better that it didn't happen this year.
Okay.
Next year, less advertising, but better. And then hopefully we can get more bands in and stuff like that. We had...
so bands to the farm.
Correct. We had hallowed ground out there August 25th of last year. 23 it was. And Rich Laga laughs about it because he says, I opened for my band. He did a solo deal first, and at one time I believe we had over 300 people at our place. We had cars lined up on the road, three or four rows in our parking area. I had 15, 20 cars up my driveway. It was awesome. It was magnificent.
That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, it did.
For sure.
But that's what we're hoping for. I mean, I've been bugging Corey Kaler to come out and play. And
I see Corey at the Y.
Now he's back doing it again. So I'm gonna twist his arm, and I don't care. He's coming out. He helped us get our business started. That's why I'm so adamant about getting
I see
Corey
in the sauna every so often.
He is so awesome. I love that guy.
That's great. Well, my final question for you then, as we're winding down, what's the biggest goal for 2025? Because we're almost to 2025. What's the biggest goal you got coming up? Whether it's the Woodshed or something else, what's the grand thing you want to do in 2025? New Year's resolution?
Have a happier life.
Okay. Way
happier. And hopefully be a hell of a lot more successful in business.
Okay.
That's what I want.
All right.
I want to smile more. Last year it was a Debbie Downer. I'm not going to say it was a Debbie Downer year. I chalked 2024 up as a learning experience.
Sure.
There was a few things that I can address being better at the business side. I want some things to be a lot different. But yeah, just things to move forward, and get better. hopefully better sales. 'Cause, I mean, it was scary last year. Some places, nobody's spending money. Places where we sell 300-400 pizzas, we're selling 100. We're selling 90.
Okay.
So hopefully that comes out better next year. And like I said, I just chalk it up as a learning experience.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
Yeah, and you never know. Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Babs, for coming on in and taking time out of your day. But I also want you to tell everyone where they can find your business. You plug yourself right now. Yeah. Plug it all.
So the Woodshed Mobile Wood-Fired Pizza, we're on Facebook. Our website's woodshedpizza.com. Otherwise, you can reach out to us. Our phone number is 507-459-9994. And we're located at N41995, Roscus Road, Independence, Wisconsin.
Perfect. Well, awesome. This has been fantastic, learning the ins and outs of not only your life, but also your business. I think this is a great platform. Hopefully someone's listening. But for those who just heard that, I will plug all those things in the show notes for you. So you can just literally click on the show notes. It'll take you right to any of the websites. I even got a business card right here as well. Tom and Carrie Babler. I love it. But he's better known as Babs. Simply Babs. I don't even know. Does anybody ever call you Tom anymore?
Sometimes. But yeah, even Dan Bailey at the racetrack. It's my Facebook handle. It's Tom Babs Babler now.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like, okay, come on now.
I love it. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on in. And for those who are listening, if you want to watch us, check out YouTube. You can see our pretty faces. You can see the swag that I was given. You can see the mint chocolate chip that we were drinking. You can see the Busch lattes we were drinking.
Busch Light premium beer.
Premium. But if you want to listen, I am on any major streaming platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon Music, you name it, I'm out there. But also consider giving a like, a subscribe, and we will see you next week for another episode of Brews and Crews.
Thank you, sir.
Cheers.